Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 131 of the Need to Nerd podcast. I'm your host, Heezy, and I'm joined by my co-host, Paddy B.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm here. I'm Paddy B.
Wear that Cowboys gear.
You know, it's not a brave thing when you love a team. They are the Buns right now, and now I think have a hurt quarterback. Yeah. So don't love that, but I kind of was treating this year as almost a lost year anyways, because we didn't make any moves. So
let's make some moves today, Ken.
Let's do it. Let's make some moves.
We're going to make some moves. But before we do that, we are talking about the film Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Before we do, though, we are doing this podcast knowing that she, who must not be named, exists with her little black mold brain, and we will be donating for every episode in the series, because we'll do all the films. We'll be donating to the Trevor Project. This is a project for LGBTQ plus suicide prevention. Trans people are affected, and just LGBTQ plus people are affected at suicide rates that are really high. It's really hard to live a life that you don't believe in. Every coming out every coming out day, I talked about coming out as someone that didn't believe in God in a family, that that's really important too, and how hard that was for me. And it took a lot of courage to post that to the internet, just that, hey, this is a belief that I have. And it was really hard for me. And for these people, for a lot of them, they deal with something a lot harder. And they're on the front lines of just being attacked right now. And we're going to donate for every episode we do. Not only will we donate for the episode, but if the podcast starts making money and these episodes are listened to in the future and funds come from these episodes, all of those funds will also go towards the Trevor Project. So, Paddy, anything you want to say before we move on?
Yeah, it's really important. Not being comfortable in your own identity and that sense of identity and expression and sexuality is extremely important. And we don't like She Who Must Not Be Named, but we love Harry Potter, and we wanted to do. So it's been a minute. We've had some off weeks. Stuff has come up, and it's November 3rd. Halloween was this weekend, or this week.
Harry Potter is a Christmas, Halloween. It's an everything movie.
It is kind of an everything movie, especially particularly this first one where they go pretty chronologically through the year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different shots that capture the holidays, so we decided we'd start there today.
But I have a nerd fact of the week. Every week on the show, we like to give a little fact or a little tidbit to help you improve your nerddom trivia. And this week's is really good. This is actually one I did not know, Paddy P. Did you know that Richard Harris, the person who played Dumbledore, had trouble remembering his lines? And so Daniel Radcliffe would actually ask him to help him run lines because he knew that, and it was to really make Harris practice his lines more.
That's so interesting. I know that Richard Harris passed after the second movie, and so he was an older gentleman. That makes sense. I mean,
that's not why.
It's hard. I mean, I
died of
don't
lung
know.
Cancer from chain smoking.
Oh, okay. Well,
don't smoke, kids.
Yeah. Life lessons. But also old dude. So who says that didn't have any effect on his memory? I have trouble. It takes me a long time to memorize and learn my lines. So I sympathize with Richard Harris.
It's funny. I wanted to do this one because one, I saw a TikTok the other day. I don't remember what the podcast was, but they were talking about like this person's like, give me your nerd hot take, and one of them was like, Mike Gambon was better than Richard Harris as Dumbledore, and I like wanted to throw my phone. I was like, what are you talking about? Knowing that he didn't know his lines is hysterical. Because we'll get into it later, but he crushed this role.
That's very good.
He crushed it. And I just love it. That's going to do it for the Nerd Fact of the Week. We're going to go into housekeeping. Don't forget to check out the Discord. We have people join the Discord this week. We are talking fantasy football. We're talking memes. We're talking movies. We're talking TV. We're talking everything. Everything you need to know at Hard Decides. We got it. We got it in the Discord. So come join the Discord, join the conversation, and then also share the show. Share the show with your friends. Share the show with your enemies. If you got somebody you hate, share the show with them. Share, you know, you're like, I hate this show. I hate you. Here's the show that I hate. We don't care. The share's a share. And sharing is caring. And then don't forget that if you subscribe on the YouTubes, we will give a new Nintendo console, whatever the newest one is, and a copy of the newest Smash game that works with that console to one of the first 1,000 subscribers. Boom! There it is. There it is. Let's dive in here. We got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or if you're not from America, the Philosopher's Stone. Patty B, what is the film Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone?
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is the tale of Harry Potter, an ordinary 11-year-old boy who is sort of a slave for his aunt and uncle, who learns that he's actually a wizard and has been accepted into Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Spoilers.
And
no.
Yeah, right? Okay, all right. And this is the first year of 8 movies. I split the last one up into 2, and
I like how they did this, and they did that, and everyone else was like, "We also will do that." Breaking Dawn, Part 1 and 2.
Oh,
not Catching Fire. What was it?
I forget. Yeah, what it was for the Hunger Games one, but yeah, they split the last movie for that one into 2. It's been a thing, and I don't love Harry Potter for it. Right, like for example, coming up soon, the Wicked movie. It's split into 2. They are doing Act 1.
Really?
They are doing Act 1 in the first movie, and they are doing Act 2 in the second movie.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't love it, but what I do love is that they're keeping all the stuff, and that's my hope.
Yeah,
but
one of the reasons I was kind of excited to do this podcast, when we were like deciding, what to do. Like we have another podcast that we're gonna be doing next week on rom-coms and like our need to nerd rom-coms, but doing something a little festive. The week of Halloween seemed nice, and then also it's just one that fits our genre really well and stuff. But they're doing casting for the show, and I'd love to knock out the movies before the show comes out for when we review the show. I love your description. It really is just this tale of this kid learning who and what he is in a world where he wasn't allowed to do that. Like he wasn't allowed to learn anything about himself because himself was put in a tiny little cupboard under the stairs.
He was just Harry.
I'm just Harry. Do you have... before we get too far into this, if people want to watch this, where can they watch it?
They can find it on HBO Max, is where we watch it. I'm assuming it's available for purchase on stuff like Apple TV, Amazon.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think that if you have a DVR and like some kind of YouTube TV, Fubo, anything that saves your recordings.
They're on TV a lot, especially
Freeform,
around
I
this
think,
time.
is the name of ABC Family Now.
Hmm.
They do Harry Potter every Halloween season and every Christmas season. So you should be able to record it there and watch it pretty easily. So
Cool.
do you? I gotta ask. Do you remember the first time watching this?
I do. Yeah, I do. So this was kind of like, I think we've talked. I don't know if we've talked about it with some of the Star Wars movies, but like my dad was working for um this loan office where at the time they would like rent out theaters for all the loan officers and their families. So like um we got to see this like day of or next day uh rented out theater. It was a good time.
That's so dope. And were you were you a book first or a movie first guy?
It's weird. So I think we were movie first. Um for some reason I feel like I remember like my family starting off because I think like book 1 and 2 like were out before the movies. And I remember my family being a little hesitant with the book because witches and stuff, you know, being religious. Um, but I think my mom ended up reading it and then I got to read it. You know, kind of make sure that it was okay. Which I know is the case for a lot of people. As far as like when this initially came out, not being able to consume it because of the like the scare of witchcraft.
Yeah, so for me, I had already read all 3 books that had come out. I honestly, the 4th one might have already come out. I'm trying to remember. So it was 2001. When did Goblet come out?
Alright, put her in the goblet of fire. Shoot,
It
I'm
looks
sorry.
like Goblet of Fire came out in 2000. Yeah, I had already read the first 4 books by the time this movie came out. And
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a book first guy, and I know that I saw this in theaters, but I honestly don't remember. I don't remember doing it. You know, I was pretty young, only 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly just like. What's funny is my biggest memories of this movie were the DVD. Did you have this on DVD? Yeah, they're like he's gonna pull it out right now. As he does this, like I the menu and like yeah, there you go. The menu and like how you the whole thing. Yeah, Patty showing
It all folds out.
The audio
So
listeners.
this one, hey, you reminded me that this is a video podcast on an audio platform. This one is number 2 because I don't see number 1 in my stack here. I gotta find it, but it was like very it was very ornate in its presentation and
I'm not even talking about like the casing. Like in order to like get to special features, you had to unlock Diagon Alley by pressing the right bricks and
buttons.
Stuff.
Yes,
like
that was so cool.
it was honestly like a master class in interactive menus and DVDs. It was really a thing of like beauty. And then you could do all kinds of things. Like like the special features were crazy. Like you could you go to Ollivander's wand shop and get a wand, Like, you actually got to go through Diagon Alley. It was really cool. And I just really... It really captured the magic in its special features in a really special way. Not that the film doesn't, but, like, my first impressions of this, like, I spent a lot of time with
just
this
in the menus.
with the DVD.
That's so great. That's another thing that, like, I think is kind of missing from like movies and stuff nowadays. Like, that just doesn't happen in this world of streaming services.
Oh, dude, I'm a total physical media guy. I think that, like, it will be a shame when it disappears. Like, I think it'll actually be a problem.
Yeah, like, you lose, like, you can't see a lot of the, like, special features type things, or something magical and cool like that just doesn't really happen.
So that's gonna do it for first memories. If you've gotten this far, and for some reason you haven't watched the movie, we're gonna spoil it. So this is your warning. With that being said, let's go into overall impressions. A high-level look at how much we loved what we're reviewing and why we loved it. Patty B, I'll let you go first. What was your overall impression of the first one?
My overall impression of the first movie, it is a beautiful collection of shots. I took a bunch of copious notes last night when rewatching it. There's a lot of, like, really cool shots that kind of showcase and show off Hogwarts in a way that none of the other movies do, which it makes sense for something being the first piece of media, first film in a big series.
Harry Potter 4 definitely does, but with the dragon fight.
Sure, okay. I'm thinking, like, the shot with, like, Hedwig and checking out the trophy case.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, these iconic, like, moments.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to yuck your yum. I agree. I think that it's, like, it's kind of gorgeous in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And so another kind of overall impression thing, like, rewatching this time, it was, and for a while, because we watch these fairly frequently, it is kind of weird to see some of these earlier movies where they are actual, like, 12, 13-year-old kids. And it's like, oh, I've seen Daniel Radcliffe do crazy things on this theater stage. Like, just very, very different, and kind of it's shocking to, like, go back and see it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I think I should reiterate here. Harry Potter is really interesting for me. Because there is 3 versions, at least, of every Harry Potter book for me. There's the film version, there's the Jim Dale narration version, and there's the version that I saw in my head as I read it. And for those who don't know, I listen to audiobooks to fall asleep. And I typically listen to things that I've already read or listened to. I've been listening to Harry Potter to fall asleep since before I was an adult. Like, I've probably listened to every Harry Potter book over 200 times. And I'm not even exaggerating with that. And the Sorcerer's Stone is really interesting. I did not read the book when it came out because I wasn't a great reader yet. But by the time the movie had come out, I had read all of the books. And my expectations going into the movie were none. Like I didn't. I think that it really helped me with that. Is that like my overall impression of the film is it captured the magic. Like it really did do that, which should have been its number one goal. Like, whether it's continuity or whether it's, truth to the source material or whatever, those are all secondary to just capturing the magic of Hogwarts. And I think it did a great job.
Oh,
go ahead.
That's a really good description. And I kind of want to go a little bit out of order. Part of capturing the magic, I think, is a lot the music.
Yeah, talk about it.
So I had to like double check and make sure that this was in, that my favorite song is what it is, because I'm pretty sure it's a
Hedwig's.
Yes, the motif of Hedwig's theme.
Yeah,
is just so iconic. And one of my notes was, not even like 3 or 4 notes down. It's like the music is so effing good. It was just like it makes you feel like you're there. And that's something that John Williams has excelled at many times, particularly here.
I mean, I think I said on the podcast that John Williams needs to donate his brain to science to like he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
It's
like,
crazy.
Think about this. I'm just going to go off for just a second. Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Jaws, Harry Potter. I actually have to look this up. Oh, did you know Hook, Home Alone?
I knew those two. Yep.
Trying to see if there's others that I should just throw out. Jurassic Park?
Oh, yep. Yeah.
Like, what? E.T.?
Yep.
The dude is unbelievable. And he does. He captures the magic. It's the same in everything he does. He has a special ability. Actually, the person that did Pirates has this ability too. I think that's the other one that I always think about. But just this special ability to watch a scene. Like he's watching, like this is crazy how his brain works. I don't know if you've listened to Blockbuster. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't listened to Blockbuster, the podcast, go listen to it. It's so good. But they actually do a whole episode on John Williams. I can't believe that he watches a scene and creates music that fit it. And then when he's done, creates this like motif, this like he captures the essence of these films. It's crazy. Like Harry Potter would have been so much worse without John Williams.
Yeah, Danny Elfman could never.
I just I love that. I think that capturing the magic, the music is part of it. The score is so important. Should we move on to favorite characters?
Yeah.
Did you add favorite song?
No.
Oh,
it was after favorite character. Yeah.
Oh.
I just swapped them.
Got it.
Swapped them around.
Yeah, Hedwig's theme is my favorite, so we can skip it. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I gotta know who's your favorite character. This film specifically, and one of the nice things about Harry Potter is like usually sometimes they'll be like, okay, you can't say Harry Potter and Harry Potter, but like I think the Golden Trio is so involved in everything that you can name any like who's your favorite character in this film?
So, honorable mention, kind of for this film, goes to Seamus, played by Devin Murray, because in this film he's just blowing up everything in his face every time you see him, which is great. I love that because that's probably how I would be as far as like experimenting and trying to make stuff happen, but it not going the way I really
See,
want it to.
one of my favorite Harry Potter memes is with Seamus, where Harry's like, "What's Seamus trying to do?" And Ron's like trying to turn the water to rum, and like the spell he's casting is like turn this water into rum. It's like, Harry, are you a moron? Like, obviously that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I have rabbit.
Yeah,
Turn this
exactly.
water into rum. Yeah. Yeah. So that would have been because I see myself in that a lot. But I think in this movie, oh, gosh, I I really do like Ron. Um, he's very memeable. It with all the different sounds that have made their way back through TikTok. Um, but like he's kind of the grounded character that just like everything is like happening around him, and like it's almost like the audience's view uh into the wizarding world, right? Like, why wouldn't you be freaking out with the devil's snare, right? Like, he's like, yeah, I got my food, and then some a-hole buys the entire candy cart out, right? Like, I think there's a lot of really good moments with Ron, kind of being grounded for the trio.
My favorite character in this movie. It was so funny. We also watched it last night, and it's the opening scene, and it's Maggie Smith, uh, Robbie playing Hagrid, and Richard playing Dumbledore. And I turned to my wife and goes, "All those people are dead. Like everybody on the screen is dead right now." And she's like, "Thank you for that, Spencer. Thank you for
Love
that."
you, bud.
I I didn't need that, but thank you. But honestly, I think this is Hagrid's best movie.
I don't know. I don't think you should have said that. I should not have said that.
I think it's his best movie. And I really want to say Dumbledore because I also think it's Dumbledore's best movie. But I think it's Hagrid's best movie, and it they're two characters. I talk about how there's these three versions of all these characters in my head, right? And sometimes they switch, but like this version of Hagrid in this movie, I think captured what reading Spencer imagined, what Jim Dale, spoke to, and it is the movie version. Like it really is that good, and I think that Hagrid is my favorite in this one.
That's a good choice. Yeah, I was considering Hagrid as well. He was up there for sure. I also, for what it's worth, I do think that, um, obviously, yeah. First off, rest in peace to Alan Rickman, Robbie Coltrane, Maggie Smith. All those people are, like you said, are not with us. But I think this is the most McGonagall movie. Like, she's the most her character. Like, I feel like in this movie.
You know what's so funny is I think Deathly Hallows Part 2, she has fully embraced the role, and like the scenes that she has in that movie are just all 10 out of 10s. Like every single moment in that film. So I don't know that I agree, but I do agree. I mean, Maggie Smith is also just She's amazing.
Yeah, she was. Where I think her scene may have been a lot more impactful, but like and meant a lot more to us in Deathly Hallows Part 2. But I think for like who like maybe who I was like picturing as McGonagall, right, and like how she's described in the book,
she crushes the role in every single movie. She's just so
like there's so many more scenes I think featuring her like being that professor who's like good and strict. Like
yeah.
You get that vibe.
Do you have a favorite storyline in this movie?
I don't. I hadn't really thought about like a specific storyline. I think kind of near the end where I would say maybe because it involves the forest and the like drinking of the unicorn blood, just like Harry learning more about himself and like how dangerous the world actually is, and like the planting of the seeds of Voldemort, where he like progresses and starts to get just like the littlest tidbits kind of coming all full circle when he it confronts him at the end.
That's a good one. Mine is probably Norbert. Like, I just think that the movie does a pretty good job of both establishing Hagrid's want for a dragon, Hagrid getting a dragon, and, while it doesn't play out the same way as the book, which kind of sucks in some ways, but, like, I don't know. I thought that they delivered the story of Norberta, spoilers, in a pretty good way.
Yeah, I love Norbert. I had forgotten about him, and then we watched the I was like, oh, Norbert.
Do you have any could be betters for this film?
I don't think so. Like the graphics at the time were what they were. So like watching it now, like you see some blurry stuff. You see, it's things can be a little choppy.
It's crazy. This movie's 23 years old, man. Like it's crazy.
Right? Because at the time it was magical and everything was new and cool and exciting, and just how wild it is that we're at a point technologically now where so many things are different with the making of the film. It's hard to find a could be better. I love these movies and they're great.
I have a few.
Okay.
So I want to establish that, like, I try to separate book Potter, movie Potter. Like, I just think that you have to get the most out of them. But there are a couple of things that will probably could be better in like a few of these. So a really good example of what I'm talking about is it's the beginning of the movie. It's Dudley's birthday, and Harry gets to come. And there's things that you get to cut, right? Like they cut Dudley's friend coming and stuff, but there's not a mention of oh my gosh, now I'm having a brain fart. What is the name of his neighbor?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember.
Mrs. Fig. Like, you know, you don't need to include the conversation about Mrs. Fig, but like, there's literally a scene where they're going to the car, talking and not talking, where they just get into the car, where you could have included, hey, you know, it really sucks that Mrs. Fig couldn't watch Harry, so we have to bring him. Like, it's not... Obviously, I don't think the director understood the importance of Mrs. Fig, because the 5th book hadn't even come out yet. Like, but it turns out that, like, missing that piece has a big impact, and also had a big impact on how the movies went going forward. And, you know, eliminating characters like that, I think, have a pretty big impact. We'll get into this in basically every movie where they cut Dobby, but you don't understand. It's so funny. Like, for those who only watch the movies, you watch Harry Potter 7, and you're like, you might even wonder, like, why does Harry care so much about this house elf dying? Because you don't realize that he's in every book but 3 and 1. Like, he's a pivotal part of the story. And I just don't think it's like, you don't have to cut, you can cut characters without cutting their impact on their story. And, like, you know, in this exact scene, they cut 2 characters. They cut Mrs. Fig from being mentioned, and they cut Dudley's friend. Dudley's friend is not a part of the story. Like, who cares if you cut him? Mrs. Fig is a huge part of Harry's story, because she literally is sent there, spoilers, to watch him. And, like,
yeah,
I find that to be a could be better. And it might be a could be better on She Who Must Not Be Named's part, for not being like, hey, you need to include, like, at least a throwaway line about this. But I think that happens a few times in this film specifically, where...
Yeah, it's hard to know, like, what got left on the cutting room floor, like what they actually recorded, what She Who Must Not Be Named advocated for, and what she felt was important.
And it's my problem with this movie specifically is I think it impacted the future films. Like the continuity changes because you didn't include these things, and I have a problem with that. My other could be better is, it's so hard. I don't know if this really could be better. Sometimes you watch a bunch of 11 and 9-year-olds act, and you're like, oh, that was rough. That was rough. It's funny though.
Okay.
Like, Daniel Radcliffe, there was a video where they interviewed the kids when they were kids from Stranger Things, and they all said that, like, he was their hero. He's like, oh my gosh, I wish I was half as good at acting when I was your age as you are. And you know, it's today, and Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe are, like, prolific, amazing actors. And it can be hard to go back and watch these, because you know how much better they get. It's not like it could be better on them, but it is harder to watch. And then kind of my last one is, I don't actually think this has anything to do with the film. I think She Must Not Be Named just sucks at this. The continuity errors of, like, the rules of magic and Hogwarts, and, like, it's so annoying. Like, and I think about this all the time. Like, in the second book, Percy takes points away from somebody as a prefect, and then in the 5th book, they're like, prefects can't take away points, and it's like, well, we've already established that they can. Like, now we're just changing the rules. And there are so many things in this book and this film. I don't want to get into specifics, but, like, it bugs me every time I read them. Like, the early Potters are full of continuity errors for the later stuff. So, anyway, what are your love-its? What's your first love-it for this one?
Oh boy, I have so many of those. Let's see here. I kind of talked about the TikTok sounds, right? That's another one that I think we should do is the 3637. I loved the snake. Thanks.
That seems so good.
Yeah, that's it's
such
so
a way to set up the magic in this film. It's so good.
Yeah, right. It keys up Hagrid's line about, do you ever make anything happen that you couldn't explain when you were, upset or angry, right? Or just something happened like that, and yeah, that scene is so great.
So you had so many. What more?
I mean, yeah. If you want, let me go off here.
Yeah, go.
I love that Hagrid fat shamed Dudley when he thinks he's Harry. Just like, oh, think you were so round. I noticed that he misspelled birthday. I didn't really caught that in the movie.
That's actually true in the books
before.
too.
Yeah. And that also sets up his line of like, well, can you write it down? Can you spell Voldemort? It's like, I can't spell it. I saw a TikTok and I feel like I feel like I sent it to you. I may have not. But it had this prevailing theory that like Hagrid's actually a Death Eater or like the dark. He is the Dark Lord, like, and that he has put those kids into more danger than Voldemort ever did. Like he said that he's not allowed to do magic, but yet he casts a couple spells, turning his giving the pigtail and lighting the fire with that umbrella without even using words, which is a big thing. You're talking about breaking the magic rules.
No, that's a thing in the 6th book.
Yeah.
No, that's what they try. Nonverbal spells is like a huge part of your NEWTs.
Gotcha.
Did you forget this?
I must have. I do love him kind of pulling a Batman at the train station where Harry's like looking at his ticket.
Dude, that was and so just like fun he's just to watch last night. That cracked me and Owner.
It gave me like huge like Jim Gordon vibes. Like him kind of monologuing and then just Batman's gone. Yeah. They do a great job setting up Draco as a jerk, the wrong sort. I love that the Dark Forest is strictly forbidden unless you get detention. It had to be such a huge flex getting the boy who lived in your house. And we also, I was kind of thinking about this last night, like how long were those sort of like things, like how big is the class size for all these first years, right? Like
I thought about this a lot, and I think it's about, if you think about it, it's like 10 kids per house, so they're pretty small.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that was something I was kind of curious about, like what the school the population of Hogwarts is and how long it takes on those nights to get everyone sorted. Obviously, not everyone has the whole monologue that goes through Harry.
I think it's about 10 times 4 times 7.
Gotcha. Something I noticed that I didn't really that I pick up on initially that I also love. It looks like when Harry and the trio go to look at the like trophy case where they're like, oh, being a seeker is in your blood, and they highlight James Potter, but then on the plaque next to it, McGonagall was on the 1971 Quidditch team, was the captain. I'm like, that's why she was like so excited to like be like, I've got you a seeker.
Did
Right?
you
Like,
want to know a fun Harry Potter fact that confused and confounded a lot of people?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually really interesting because in the first book, it says that James plays Chaser. What happened is he switched positions like Ginny does in the books. So he started out as a Chaser and then switched to Seeker. And the books, the movies confused a lot of people because a lot of people are like, no, he was a Chaser. The books say that the books are right. But it's actually like by the time he was a fifth year, and
he had gotten so good.
He had become a Seeker.
Yeah. Yeah, like her getting him his Nimbus 2000, right, is like has a lot more meaning coming from someone who like was a player.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was so cool.
Dude, I actually have a note in my notepad somewhere of how to fix Quidditch because it's such a broken game.
Okay.
Maybe this is the right podcast to talk about it, but like, you just what you do is you have the Seeker get to play every position. The Seeker's allowed to do everything, so you can have an extra man on the goals. You can have an extra man with the quaffle. You can have, and I don't know if the beater one would work, but like,
yeah, it's hard to like have.
And then you also make the snitch only worth 50 points. And it doesn't. It ends the game, or the game ends in time if the snitch is not caught. It gives you this all-purpose player that can end the game. So, like, for a lot of teams, like, yes, I have this person that's really good at seeking, and thus, like, we want that. But it doesn't just...
It could also just be someone that's good all around at everything. Exactly. Kind of like your LeBron, your Steph Curry. That makes sense.
Any other Levitts?
So many. Happy Christmas always threw me off. Like, as someone from America who it's Merry Christmas, like hearing that again was like, oh yeah, that made me uncomfortable. I was really surprised the door wasn't locked for the room to get into the Mirror of Erised. Right, so Harry's snooping the restricted section with his cloak of invisibility, and then like Snape does the like reach thing, and he just like goes back into this room where the Mirror of Erised is being, without like having to Alohomora or anything. It's just open.
Sure.
I thought I noticed that. I don't care that Fang is a bloody coward. I'll take him on any adventure that I go on. And yeah, that's all I have here. Oh, Shelby brought this up, and I thought it was interesting, where they're talking about like the break-in at Gringotts, right, where they had done they had saved the stone that way. She was curious if Dumbledore had used the time turner, which we'll learn about in book 3, that he gives Hermione, or in movie 3 that he gives Hermione, to stop the break-in. Right, the only reason that Hagrid is there to get it before is via time turner.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? All right, well.
I have a few Levitts. The first is the Great Hall. I think it's like just absolutely like one of those moments that like captures the magic really, really well. The Sorting Hat animation holds up today. It's so good. That scene is absolutely amazing. The Ollivander is perfectly captured in the film. He's very weird. You're not sure if, like, Demeter said it best. She's like, I always wasn't sure, like, is he like Voldemort? Like, he's, like, so weird. He just loves powerful wizards and stuff, and, like, he's very, very well captured here. I think that the chess scene is absolutely fantastic. I think it's literally better in the books than I imagine, or in the movies than I imagine it is in my brain. I think that my other big one is just Richard's portrayal of Dumbledore. His delivery and his lines are, like, they're so perfect. I feel very lucky that we got 2 movies of Richard Harris, because he really, really is amazing. I am really glad that they didn't make... I don't know if you know this. In the last scene of the movie on the train, Hermione is wearing fake buck teeth because her teeth are supposed to be buck-toothed. And they were so uncomfortable that they didn't make her wear them the rest of the movie. And I'm really glad. I think it made for a better film, because it was it was actually the first film that they seen, first scene that they filmed. And then I think those are, like, my big ones, actually. But yeah, we'll end it at that.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, like, Ollivander's wand shot being, that was one of the, like, recurring things, and I kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but, like, there's a lot of those shots, like the first time you go into Diagon Alley and you see all the Wizarding World, you see Ollivander's shop.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Is like iconic. Like, when Harry takes Hedwig out, like, that's such an iconic
dude, actually,
shot.
that's a huge love it. I can't believe they got such a beautiful owl to play. That owl is freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw it. I was like, oh, Hedwig.
If you were to rate this on a scale of 0 to 5, 0 being we would never review it on this podcast, and a 5 being a perfect film, how would you rate it?
4.5.
I like that. I think this is one of the better Potter films. Like, it's either a 4 or 4.5 for me too. I think that it delivers in the way it needed to deliver, and the continuity and, like, the source material stuff aside, like, it really is. It makes you feel the magic, and I really like that.
Yeah, that was their job. Yeah. Like, you had to feel the magic to buy into the movie and the premise, and they knocked it out of the park. And they, like, you were hooked.
If you want to find you, where can they do that, Paddy?
They can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at PattyBMTG. I think I joined Blue Sky, and I'm also PattyBMTG on there and on Threads.
Yeah, you can find me, Spencer13H, anywhere, but on Twitter, I'm specifically Spencer, or Heezy Game, for my nerd stuff and my magic stuff. You can find me every week on Constructive Criticism, my weekly podcast about always improving at Magic the Gathering. And yeah, you can find me in the Discord. Check it out. Like and subscribe. It really does help out the show, and then you have a chance to leave a review or a comment, just interacting with the show in any way. It really does help the show. Paddy, thank you for reviewing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone with me. We will find a time, probably in the near future, to review the next one, probably before Christmas.
Cool. Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on, so
that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you all next week as we talk about our Need to Nerd and rom-coms. Bye!